Neo-diplomacy is the new currency. Neo-diplomacy is the new currency. The reason that I can say that is you have a couple of different factors occurring right now as we speak on the world stage. The dollar is being disrupted. Nations are no longer wanting to engage with the United States. But the third factor that affects each and every one of us is that there is a diaspora from the African continent that's willing and able to engage our brothers and sisters on the continent. The Rise of Africa, the continent, the diaspora, and BRICS explores the relationships that are affecting the global economy right now. This book explores the relationships of the African diaspora's influence on the African continent and why this is important in stabilizing relationships with an understanding of how BRICS impacts the future, good or bad. You can order your copy of The Rise of Africa today on Amazon.com.
All right, shalom, salama, siemi, shalom. Greetings to all of my Israelite brothers and sisters from around the world, whether you're of the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the house of Israel, or you are a Gentile grafted into the house under the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach. I welcome you this morning. All right, family. I just had a really ignorant thought, and I'm like, nah, that's too early. Too early. Too early for that. I said the truck is on fire. We don't need no water. Let that Tesla truck burn. All right, I'm sorry, family. Please forgive me. Please forgive me, family. I know that was insensitive. I don't want to make light of the life that was lost in that. But what was that? Look, yesterday, January 1st didn't just start off with fireworks. It started off with literally bangs. Bang, 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 bang. If I was really ignorant, I would be playing that clip from Friday. With Clarence Witherspoon. I'd also had that clip from Distinguished Gentlemen. With these things, you got to coordinate. Oh my goodness. You see this here? You see that? See that interior there? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I looked at the shooter's mug, right afterwards. They released it right after I got off yesterday. And I looked at the brother, I said, my. Is that one of our brothers with the laid back relaxer S curl? I'm sorry, family. I was feeling a certain sort of way. I said, oh, heck to the no. I almost fell out of my seat. I said, brother, wait a second, brother. They almost got us, family. They almost got us. Oh, man. Nah, that's a different sort of kink. We be playing the phenotype games real quick. Oh, you almost had us. Everybody's going into that man's genealogy right now. Let me see if he's on 23andMe. Let me see if he's on Ancestry.com. Yeah, you know what? He does look very those are a lot of East African features. And one of the things, yeah, you could be here born and raised. I don't doubt that. But I would probably strongly suspect that, it may be Arab. Now, let me tell you, family, believe it or not, in most of your Arab countries, especially in Saudi Arabia, Yemen, UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, that is the driving factor of that phenotype. The straight hair. Now I know a lot of, some of our people will have it, right? But it's not a large, population group. That's their population group. No, for our people, we get the beads. We beat up. We got the beady beaties, right? Beady beaties that you got to get the brush and you got to get the comb for. And I'm not trying to be here to practice, internal racism, but I am trying to come here and say, wow, They almost would have had us. See, understand on this channel, on this platform, I tell you this, listen, you ain't got to do no fighting for them or against them or anything. That's not our fight. The fight is Yahuwah's. He said, "He look, vengeance is his. He's going to repay." But understand now, they are very crafty, and what they will do is they'll have somebody that's kind of, sort of. You'll have some of our brothers and sisters on out there. You saw that with our brother Micah a few years ago. He got blown up by the robot fighting what? Racial injustice, discrimination, racism. He blew up. He said he can't take it anymore. And immediately they understood that that was a lone wolf. Immediately. Immediately. But when I said to myself and I saw the ISIS flag, I said, this is very fishy. Very, very fishy. Now, if you understand the dynamics of terrorism and terrorist organizations, and you understand the accusations that are being leveled against the West, particularly the United States and Europe, regarding the use of terrorists. Now, understand, I didn't say those accusations. Actually, the Sahel states did. And understand the desperation of when they are losing the fight, then guess what? You understand what's going to happen. Well, there's going to be one of us that will be so caught up in the matrix. Look, everybody has a part in the matrix. I'm conscious, I'm awake. Blah, 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 blah. I know. But if you're caught up in the matrix, guess what? You're just a talking puppet for the matrix. That's why I get concerned. You know, last week I told you, I don't get down with that. The docile stuff. You understand? What is that? Trying to radicalize. You don't have to radicalize nothing around here. What I say, listen, you radicalize reading your word and getting on your face and asking the Most High to forgive you. That's what you need to radicalize. You need to radicalize meekness and humility. You need to radicalize compassion. Because why? Because that's the same compassion that the Most High gave us to even be here in this time. Because understand that now they are going to utilize these positions as their focus and focal point to war. And yeah, we see that there are a lot of the video that's on out there going to Egypt, going back, doing this, doing that. Okay. The fact that they said ISIS related, I said, yeah. I I feel horrible for the people that have succumbed. I feel bad for any loss of life. I really do. Because at this time, this is when, again, people think that this is not a war. No, this has been a war. It is a war that's raging. And now this is a war that's coming to the shores. But understand, in order for people to get primed to fight in their kingdom, they have to be primed up because it's easy for them to fight than for them to say, you want to know what? I think I need to repent. I think I need to change. Because don't think that the Most High has not been dealing with them. And he has been dealing with them. And I know that he's been dealing with them with the amount of TikToks that I have been receiving. I know that he's dealing with them with the amount of videos on Instagram of how they need to relook at some things because why? Because two and two is not adding up. But when you're dealing with a haughty nation, when you're dealing with a prideful nation, what are you doing? I got to show them. I got to show them that, this is what's happening. I got to emotionally bait them. You can't even go to the bar. You can't even get a drink. You can't even be fully involved in your revelry and debauchery without something going wrong, right? This is their thought process. Until this happens, until that happens, then we can't get back to normal, right? The return to normal is a process in judgment. Because why? Because when you're being judged, you are not able to return back to normal because the normal was the wickedness that brought you into the judgment. So now that will be their mantra for the next couple of months. And then they will use that energy and they will redirect it into other places of the world. See, this is all about BRICS. See, it's Egypt. Egypt's part of BRICS, and BRICS is Russia and China, and you have Iran, and now you have this, and I have. Do you understand? And I say this is definitely a distraction, Sean. This is definitely a distraction because they had their feelings hurt for about a week. The pride and the vanity, their feelings got hurt. And if you understand how deflection happens, these are the test cases, the use cases. But understand that is not going to be the only factor there. Because you're going to have other situations occurring because this year has started off literally with a bang, right? They were trying to say a couple of months ago, oh, there's this and there's that. You had the former FBI director, Christopher Wray. I think he stepped down. I think it's just an acting person now. National security. My thing is, what are they trying to set the stage for? Because it just doesn't pop out of nowhere. Oh, we're going to do this January 1st. For what? Why? Because they're trying to tell you this new era that they're ushering people into because, well, if your economy is already messed up, well, let's pin the blame. We were teetering, but man, because of that, it fell off the cliff. And because of, black people not being involved in the elections, this is what they chose for us. That would be their calculation. They chose this for us. They did not want to be in these free and fair elections. And because of their choices, we're dealing with this fallout. I'm telling you, I'm giving you the use case right here. And now with these use cases, knowing full and well that, what do we do? Whenever we do something and we see some things in mass, what do we do? We generally tend to shy away. We generally tend to back away slowly from the situation. And then what we always do is we tend to look towards ourselves and we say, hey, you know what? Y'all do you. We'll make a way, we'll find a way, we'll do something that will work on out. We'll let go and we'll let the most high do his thing in this situation. What, you're trying to detach? You're trying to unplug? And we say, no, it's not that, but we want to be responsible parties and being able to take care of our mental health. So then we are able to figure out the situation without the abuser being in our faces. See, they hate that. Wait a second, you're telling all the terminologies and the philosophies and everything else, you're turning that against us? Yeah. Are you trying to tell me that you're using the counseling that we give you, the psycho analysis that we provide, and you're doing that and turning against us? Yeah, because here's the thing that we have learned how to do. It's not anything that is really behavioral, environmental. No, I would say it's more in our epigenetic manner that guess what? We will shut down. And then when we do that, a couple things happens. Some of our people will get violent, and some of our people will turn to the Most High and ask Him to give us away. And we have to pray for our people so that they do not utilize the recourse of their flesh. Because why? Because I would argue that that is what they are expecting to happen, because in the grand scheme of things, they have always wanted a what? Open war against us. So now this gives the carte blanche of sorts. They wanted to do this against us, and for them this is their holy war. And hey, we've seen that. We've seen what's happened in Columbus, Ohio with the far right parties. We've seen that what's happened in Nashville, and it's creeping on up. And the funny thing is, I'm telling you, when they cry out for their sympathy, man, they tell you the truth on their flyers. I thought it was interesting. I was looking at a video the other day that was sent to me, and on the video, it stated that there was a recruitment drive, I believe, in Columbus, Ohio, where they were giving out flyers after a far right uh, march rally. And on their flyers, it said that, they're 4% of the world's population. And that's going off of their statistics. I don't know how they deduced that analysis. 4%. But it did make me wonder how they came up with such a staggering number. And then I would look at this, if that flyer was there, my thought process would be, well, just trying to figure this thing on out. But why are you only 4%? It's real easy to give the glaze, right? A very topical anecdote. Man, we're only 4% of the population. Wow, 4%. Okay. That's small. Yeah, it's small. Well, let's analyze that. See, if you didn't know, here in the United States, What they have been very, very reliant on is the fact that they do not promote analytical behavior. They'll talk about analysis, right? They'll talk about that. They'll talk about critical thinking. Yes, they will. But guess what they won't do? They don't promote it. And the reason that they don't promote it is because you saw that. I mean, I'm living in the state of CRT, critical race theory, that they had, which is history, by the way. That's all that is history. And the more that you delve into these events that have been shaping on up, the more you realize that everything that they did and they've done is now it's their fault. It's just they're reaping what they're sowing. They're getting the backlash of what they are doing. And nothing here that I'm saying should be so, overtly controversial. And it's not. I honestly believe, just me, that everything that I say here is not necessarily very controversial. It's not. Is it shocking and surprising? Because it is done, and then we analyze it, and we see and we break it down, and then we provide a clear foundation based off of the scriptures that does what? That supports analysis. And if you really look at that, it's not, it's a science. It's what? It's a biblical science supporting geopolitical situations. That's all that is. They love their science as long as they utilize the scientific methodology to manipulate the environment. And all that is that it's a lie that then they use, and then they try to focus on their lie no matter how grandiose it is. But then they get mad when their lie falls apart because they get called out by by Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, and then their messiah. I didn't say it, they said it, Donald Trump. Wait, you're telling me that you're saying we don't really make a difference in this country? And that really threw them through the loop. Because remember, everything that was projected onto us, they tried to pin the tail. You all have used the most resources. You all are the most violent offenders. You all are this. You all are that. And then that gets pinned back onto them. All we were able to do was just sit here and say, listen, that's a lie. And guess what? You can believe the lie, but we're just going to continue to do what the Most High needs us to do. We don't need to worry about accusing anybody. That's not our job. You know whose job that is? That's Hasatan's, the accuser of brethren. Because why? Because Hasatan is a liar. And because Hasatan is a liar, guess what? All those that follow him are going to do what? They're going to follow in the traits and in the footsteps of either the Most High or Hasatan. So now this is their decision moment. And we said that they're going to come to their decision moment. It's because we didn't say that. It was literally the Most High said it. This is the valley of decision. Well, no, we have to be in a physical valley. We have to be physically located. All, they blow out the stupid stuff. All billions of people have to be in one geographic location at all. They put on out there the semantics because what they don't want to do is they don't want to be held accountable. Because they know that accountability is going to cost. It was all fine and dandy when they could just say something ridiculous, meritless, baseless, totally false, and nobody was going to check them. But boy, oh boy, oh boy. When they got Indians checking them now online, oh, the tables have turned. My have the tables turned. I remember when I was in high school, before I moved on out to the Midwest, I had friends everywhere. I'm going to say this. Growing up, to me, skin color really didn't matter. Hey, you're cool with me, I'm cool with you. I remember my 12th birthday I had at my grandmother's house, and we lived in the hood. My white friends came on over like no big deal because it wasn't a big deal unless they were taught that it was a big deal. I still remember that. That was my 12th when I turned 12 years old. I still remember that birthday party. Everybody was on over. Everybody was having fun doing the games. My grandmother had a very big yard, so but see, as you get older, right, you get exposed more and more to life. But you want to know what I would always do? See, I was always told in my household, listen, you emulate someone that you see that has success. That's what my grandmother would tell me. If you want to be successful, you emulate the success. You don't emulate. See, that's why I never was taken and enthralled in you know, the gangster lifestyle that they were trying to portray on us. That I didn't have that. I mean, I literally did not have that influence. And I thank the Most High that I didn't. But I pray for our brothers and sisters that that's the only thing that they saw. Because why? Because the enemy did his job 30 years ago, destroying a foundation of understanding to what we have now. Because understand that wasn't just in my generation, and it just didn't happen to us. It actually happened to them because they were being destroyed by their lack of understanding when it came to understanding empathy. You know, in the 80s and 90s, it was the empathy. Oh, you know, we got to do this. We got look, everybody, a real life action hero would have what? Some sort of a African American boy or girl or both swinging in, grabbing the children with both arms and giving it to their parents, giving the children to their parents, and then fighting for freedom and justice and all this other good stuff. That was the narrative. That was the narration. These are our victuals. We need to make sure that they're taken care of because this is our burden. And literally, that is what they classified it. I didn't categorize this. I'm like, what? I'm learning all this stuff. White man's burden. What? How are we the white man's burden? Well, you know, that's just the way it is. But don't worry. We got you. I'll see you at the barbecue on Sunday. Because that was their analysis of we stay on the top when we treat them well, right? It'll be well with us to treat them well. So as we treat them well, yeah, we're going to have our bad apples, but right, it would be the scale, right? The scale. As long as our good deeds outweigh our bad deeds, then we're going to be all right. That was literally the analysis. I'm just breaking this down. You can get mad, you can get upset. I'm just breaking it down. Because in a lot of our childhoods that lived amongst them folks, that would be the interactions. Now, they may not like us, they may have disdained us. They may have said, look, I like you to a point to where, you know, before you take over, I like you to a point because, you know, I can control. That was okay, right? That was acceptable. But let me tell you this, the most, I would say, influenced, whether positively or negatively, the most influence that I personally had was with the Asians. And I tell you, the Chinese, the Koreans, and the Indians. Because when I was growing up in school, right, I didn't really have that influx of a lot of the, you know, African populations. That started to come through a lot later in the, you know, the late 90s, early 2000s, when they started to kind of come through en masse. Because regionally speaking, you know, in the Northeast, in the Midwest, in the late, you know, 90s, early 2000s, it wasn't there yet. They were just kind of sprinkling in onesies and twosies. But I would see in the culture of the Asians certain traits. I'd see in the culture the Chinese, man, the Chinese, and they worked hard. And when it was school time, man, they weren't playing around. They would be at their desk, they'd be attentive, they'd be focused. You know, for me, my personality was always to laugh and joke and, just have a good time with folks. Because I understood, look, at the end of the day, things came easy to me. Oh no, you just got to do this, this, and this, and this, and this. What? What? How? What? Yeah, that easy. But when I could tell that they would struggle on a concept, especially if they were working in, or in a group that I'm in, I would present it to them a certain way. Now, I'm going to tell you this. Whenever I was paired up with white folks, I would always look, even in my military career, I would always work to outclass and outshine them in everything that I did. Because you want to know why? That was my little bit of rebellion. Because I'm going to tell you this, even when I was in the Army service schools, a lot of our Hebrew brothers and sisters, you know what they would do? They would intentionally miss questions. Intentionally. They would intentionally not apply their full measure. Because somewhere along the line, they would get told, don't outshine them. And I know what they were saying because I'm going to tell you this. I had an uncle. I have an uncle. He retired from the Navy. And that's how he basically had operated in his career. Look, you let them know that you're smart, but you cannot be threatening with your intellect. And I understood that, but my grandmother, she was bold. That's why I have like Covenant Awakenings. You see that lion? No, I was bold. I go to my service schools. I'd be like, hey, X, Y, and Z. See, I would be attracting the intellectual, and then I go over there and we talk, and guess what? It was a you feed off of the intellect. They pull, you pull. They pull, you pull. And I had to laugh because what they would say is, the hardest school in the Army for officers. One of the hardest schools in the Army for officers. They would say that military intelligence, being an intel officer, was the hardest. It was the hardest school. They would always say that. Oh, it's hard. Oh, it's hard. I want, the thing is that's my personality. Oh, it's hard, is it? Oh, that sounds like I want it. I want that challenge. You want to be a Marine? I don't think you want to be a Marine. I think, if you're a Marine, that's going to be way too hard. That's going to be way too difficult. Nah, I want that challenge. Went to boot camp, have been a squad leader, and I understood I had to understand the political dynamics. No, you can't be the guide. But here I am there practicing and helping all the guides learn how to guide. Because you want to know why? Because I had learned that in my family. I learned that from my mom. I learned that from my uncle. I learned that from my cousins. I knew all the military things that were going on. I understood that. Look, those were the influences. You can't do that. You're just a reservist. You always get that limiting factor. You can't do that because, and let me tell you, when I went to my Bullock, they called it basic officer leadership course. Immediately, I saw who was there to do the work, and I saw who was there to play. I befriended all those that were there to do the work. And when I went there, especially in my career after coming over as an enlisted, I said, wait a second. You can get medals for doing X, Y. Like, you can get medals for intellect. You can get medals for doing papers. I said, sign me up. So while everybody was drinking and having a good time, I was on out there doing the volunteering, doing these little, academic whatevers. Yeah, they were hard. They were, there were some time fillers, but it allowed me to really be able to expand my creative juices. And everybody else was saying, oh, this is going to be too hard. And if it's too hard, I'm just trying to pass and everything else. And let me tell you, I got my little award and everything else. But they told me this, and it wasn't just me, but they told the reservists this. They said, yeah, you all were in the top 5, but we can't really give you that for being in the top 5 because we give it to our active duty folks. That had me feel a certain sort of way. Okay, if that's how you feel. Same thing in captain's career course. I went there as a first lieutenant. Top 5% again. I would always get mad if I didn't get that 100%. That's how I was. I'm like, this is too easy. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. Because when I do focus and I do concentrate, man, I tear everything up. Choo, 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 choo. Then they had to pull me aside. Lieutenant Copeland, I'm sorry to say this because you're a lieutenant. You're not a captain. We have captains and we have majors in here. You did phenomenal work. You're a great leader, but we don't want to recognize you. We can't recognize you because you're just a lieutenant. See, I would get disappointed because you know what? That hurt my psyche. Wait, I busted my behind, but just you didn't want to recognize me. I know all this, but you don't want to recognize me. Okay, but that was okay because understand in those schools, I already have favor of doing the jobs that majors, lieutenant colonels, and colonels were doing as a lieutenant. And they would look at me, you're just a lieutenant? Yeah. Yeah, I got to wait for this and I got to wait for that. I didn't have the connections in DC to, push things along for me. I didn't have any of that. And here's the thing, I didn't want to because if you have connections, especially in that type of political arena, then guess what? It will be required of you to do something because then you will be indebted. And see, I understood that, but you want to know who understands that a lot more and who understood that a lot more than myself? Boy, oh boy. Let me tell you, it was the Asians. It was the Indians, it was the Koreans, it was the Chinese, because they understood who they were dealing with in their spaces, in their areas. So when they come on over here, they become a lot more tight knit. It became a lot more tight knit. And they understood the value of community. Now they would go outside to, and they'll befriend, but they knew their core base. They knew their core strengths. And as I'm around here in my little area, like clockwork, 5:30, man, they're on out here as a community. And it doesn't matter what they're doing. Look, I'm gonna tell you this. I had to laugh the other day. I was taking my dog out. Two Indian ladies were walking by, discussing with one another. You could hear, their language, and then they were talking about cloud security, cloud infrastructure, cloud as a ICAAS, infrastructure cloud as a service. See, I mean, I know all that. I do IT. I know all that. I understand IT. Because I would laugh because if you've been in IT, tech support for the last 15, 20 years was over in India. And yes, they did that. They did that from about 2003, 4, and 5, where you had a lot of jobs outsourced. But guess what they started to do? They started to understand the service component and they started to take up the technical component. So now you have all of these billionaires in India that have learned how to harness their understanding of the technology to then be able to provide solutions for their people. Same thing that's happened with China, same thing that's happened with Korea. See, they came over with a different purpose, a different intent. Now, some can argue that, hey, well, they didn't really have all the, the pressures on them like we have on us. And I get it. I am mindful of that. But I would like to say this, because they did come on over and because they did see what was happening to us, they were able to ascertain, and assess with their own eyes the way that we had been treated. See, when you have different groups that were here coming on over, right? They would be told, don't worry about them, do what you need to do. That's just whatever subgroup that you're going to have, yada, 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 yada. And then what ended up happening was, after this global war on terrorism, and then the collapse in 2008, and then now with the pandemic, everything started to have a sliding scale of when you see economics giving way to the geopolitical environment. Wait, you told me this and I was going to be good on that. Yeah, sorry. Wait, you had made assurances for me on this and you had done that. Oh, well, it is what it is. And then we're sitting there just staring at them like, y'all really believe them? Because if you didn't understand what was happening in this tech industry over the last, from 2020, the Indians and the Chinese and the Koreans were all stuck holding the bag. Even the Japanese. Let's not forget that even the Japanese. I thought you were going to take care of everything. Uh, nope. Understand, the economic situation outside of the United States is a whole lot worse than what we have here. And at the same time, what ended up happening was that you had BRICS saying, hey, it's time for us to start doing something. And they started to realize that they were going to have to be able to pull themselves up by the bootstraps. Doesn't that sound familiar? Pull yourself up by the bootstraps. And what was incredible was, you now had these governments giving subsidies for their people to bring jobs back to the United States. And that's really what we're here seeing right now. They've been able to create the dynamics for their people to then be able to bring the jobs over. So now, when you're seeing everything that's really tech related, you're going to look in LinkedIn and you're going to see a lot of Indian companies based out of India hiring for remote positions here in the United States. But understand, the money is now flowing and circulating now in India. And now they realize, okay, I can circulate that money now with South Africa, with China. Look, India gets their oil from even Russia. Come on now. Now they are realizing the West, I'm going to say the West is realizing that, oh, we made a big mistake. We need to now bring our jobs back, right? And with the jobs, they know that they're not going to bring the jobs back. This has been now the disappointment that they've been facing, the challenges that they've been facing. And you can tell that they're facing the challenge because really you have these things going on. Oh my goodness. All right, let me go into here. Give me a second, family. I got to get into this because I know things are starting to pick on up. Because the other nations are now realizing how they are able to beat the US at its own game. The game's not fun anymore if the game is not rigged for them. And we've told them, listen, stop rigging the game. Because why? Because the same thing that you're doing to rig the game on us, you're teaching people to rig the game on you all. Shout out to my man Rohan on out there. Listen, don't think that we don't have other nations in here. They're listening, they're understanding, they're gleaning knowledge. And I pray that they use that knowledge, right, to help the children of the Most High. But that's what's happened. Yeah, you got Filipinos. That's not just in California. That's all throughout the United States. They're finding their niche and they're falling into their niche, and that's what's happening. But I'm more pleased that in this last or in this current generation, and maybe it could say, the last generation of our captivity, our young men and women are realizing that there has to be something else, something greater, because we are literally being pushed out of the workforce here in the United States, which to me was always going to be the intent of the Most High, because he had to get us uncomfortable so then we could then look towards him and realize that that is our rescue. And I had said this the other last night with our Q2A members. I said this. I said, listen, do you understand how much of an impact that our people had last year? There was a delegation of African diaspora that went to a West African nation. Do you realize that our impact was so big that they didn't even want to talk about the delegation here in the United States at all? And I'm going to argue this. I believe our delegation to Burkina Faso last year through ADDI, shout out to ADDI, Dr. Ericana, created a ripple effect that was so profound that you now have all of these nations leaving because you want to know why? Because they see the diaspora coming together. We know that because that's what scripture says. We know that because that's really what Jeremiah 50 says. And so no, don't think that these other nations don't see the writing on the wall. Oh no, they absolutely do. Let me get this. Give me a second. They absolutely do see the writing that's on the wall. They absolutely do understand what's happening in front of their own eyes. And yes, family, trust and believe that I've always said it. Look, when you start seeing the Asians leaving, yeah, our time is coming to an end. Because do you think that they're gonna keep the knowledge here in America? No. No, they're looking at how to do and how to build their critical infrastructure, how to develop economically, and they're going to send that thing back. All right, thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you for your knowledge and understanding. Hey, but we got to go. Why are you leaving? Because you want to know what? Let me just explain this thing to you. We see how you treat the African Americans, and we see how bad it's getting for them. And we know that when it gets bad for them, then it's going to also turn on us. So we got to bounce. We got to bounce. They see that. And I know that they know that because I'm telling you, I've been involved in conversations to where they are sending their money back to build up their villages. They have an exit plan. They have an exit strategy for real. Can you blame them? I don't. When I talk to our Ghanaian, Nigerian, shoot, any of our African brothers and sisters that are here, they say that I make enough here. I pay what I need to pay here. And when I pay what I need to pay here, then the remaining monies goes over to build up over there. They are building up their homes. They are building up their villages. They are building up their community. They have their job here, and then they're creating dozens of jobs over there. How come you just don't go on over? Because I'm doing this and I'm learning that, and guess what? And then I have my other folks, I have my family on over there doing the exact same thing so that I can put myself in a position so that I can win this contract next go around, and then we're just fulfilling the contract from over there. Wow. Interesting economic strategy because they know their base and they know their foundation. Because why? Because that's the same things that we've seen with India, with China, with Korea, with Japan. They know what they need to know. They're learning what they need to learn. and then they're moving on from there. Why do you think Trump got mad with Apple a couple of years ago? Oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and I mean those are all empty threats. But Apple's primarily manufactured in China. So much for them tariffs, right? On certain goods. And here's the thing, I'm not going to blame them because why? Because there's nothing that we could do. All we were able to do was sit here and just stare at them and be like, that's going to backfire. Shalom, brother Yexer. That's going to backfire. And we saw it backfire. Well, actually, we knew it was going to backfire. We understood it was going to backfire. But you know what we did? We held our peace. Let them get that rod of correction. Cut their nose to spite their face. And now there is a war brewing. And let me tell you this. Why would you want to have a war with a people that this is not their foundation? Okay, you want us up and out of here. All right, we're out. And when we're out, we're going to take all the jobs with us. Because why? Because we already have our companies that's there to now fulfill those jobs. Oh. Oops. Oops. The borrower is what? Is slave to the lender. And because I have the monies and I have the funds that you all are given, I'm going to be the one to lend to you. And now I'm going to be the one to tell you how things are going. I'm sorry, don't pin the blame. Don't come over here trying to pin the tail on us. Don't come on over here trying to say, hey, it's your fault. Nope. I ain't trying to hear it. Let me get to this article right here because here we go. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry here, family. Here we go. Pictured Las Vegas bomber who blew up Cybertruck outside Trump Hotel as cops say he served at the same military base as New Orleans mass killer Jabbar. Oh my goodness. Here we go. The bomber who blew up a Tesla truck outside the Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas has been identified as Army veteran Matthew Livelsberger. Matthew Livelsberger. God. Give me a one if you think that he is if he's black. Give me a two if you think he's Caucasian. Let me get you on those 1-2s, 1-2s. Give me a one if you think he's black. Give me a two if you think he's Caucasian. Y'all better be putting two up in there because he was not black. All right, here we go. Let me get through this article. Here we go. Although officers have not publicly named Livelsberger, 37, as the bomber, senior law enforcement sources confirmed his identity To KOAA and KTNV, Livelsberger served over 19 years in the Army, 18 of which were spent with special forces, according to his LinkedIn profile. His current role was listed as remote and autonomous systems engineer, which he had been in just for 3 months. Oh boy. A Colorado townhome associated with Livelsberger was raided by the FBI late Wednesday night. Agents with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives were brought in to assist. The suspected bomber was raised in Colorado Springs, has been reportedly linked to several addresses in the city, included one search by investigator. He is suspected of renting the Elon Musk-owned Cybertruck in Colorado Springs via the Turo app and driving it across the border to Nevada on Wednesday morning, stopping at various charging stations along the route. Law enforcement sources revealed that Livelsberger, who died Wednesday in the explosion outside the hotel, had previously served at the same military base as New Orleans terrorist Shamsu Din Jabbar. Police have not confirmed that the pair were known to each other. Jabbar, who had allegedly pledged himself to the Islamic State, rammed a pickup truck which bore the ISIS flag into a crowd of New Year's revelers, killing at least 15 people and wounding dozens. FBI has said it does not think Jabbar, 42, was solely responsible for the Bourbon Street attack. Authorities are conducting a number of court-authorized search warrants in New Orleans. Here it is. The Vegas bomber who blew up a Tesla Cybertruck outside the Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas has been identified. This is his LinkedIn profile. Dun, dun, dun. Man, oh man. Very, very interesting. This is interesting. Let me continue this. Let me go down here. That is the explosion. Tesla truck to the door. No beef, no more. Livelsberger got hardcore. Oh boy. So he took himself out. And then you have his photo for Shabar, Shamsud, Din Jabbar. But yeah, you're going to see Shamsud's face because, again, that's where they want to pin the blame. Notice that? You see one photo. Do you notice that? You see that? You see how that goes? And that blast started inside. So, yeah, he self-deleted. And then these are all the propellants and accelerants. Gas cans, looks like paint cans. Those are the firework cartridges. Looks like some more gas cans, kerosene. You don't need any gas in Tesla vehicles. Just saying. Wow. It makes you wonder. I always have questions. It makes you wonder. What were they really? I'm always that skeptical. I'm the skeptical. Okay. Now the whole thing, everybody who was in the military is now a person of interest. It's all a suspected thing. Why is that? Because you can now neutralize black folks. Why is that? Well, you're going to have probably a high number of African Americans that have more than likely identified as Israelites. That to me is the logical step, the logical conclusion. So what then do you have? Well, anything there that shows something that's antithetical to the Eurocentric model, then they are probably more highly right, they'll use those qualifiers. Well, they're a problem. So military, so now folks coming out of the military are potentially more radicalized. Do y'all get this? That to me is one source. I have the link in the chat, by the way, if anybody wants to jump onto the stream yard and give some want to participate. Authorities are investigating a possible military connection between the New Orleans car ramming suspect and the person who died after a Tesla Cybertruck exploded outside the Las Vegas Trump International Hotel. The potential link was just one thread being pulled by officials Thursday, who were also searching a site in Texas a day after a man drove a pickup truck flying an ISIS flag into New Orleans' busy Bourbon Street in the early hours of New Year's Day, deleting 15 people and injuring others. And it says here authorities are still looking for people of interest. So, they're going through providing all that other good stuff. I'm gonna say that's some pretty interesting reporting that, Daily Mail provided. because, I'm just gonna go on out there. I go to the X verse. I go to the X verse, and I tell you, these internet sleuths be on it. I don't know if you realize this, but literally, Musk is using X as his open source intelligence platform. Unreal. Wow. Now you have a big military blow up. Can you trust the folks in the military now? Wow. Can you now trust the folks in operations director, intelligence manager, remote autonomous systems? SUAS for unmanned aerial platforms. He apparently owns several addresses. Wow. November 2024. So what that goes to show is he had more than likely either had retired or just retired. When it has here team sergeant. Very interesting. And now they have photos. Now they have videos of him on YouTube. I'm gonna say that's not gonna take very long. Do you see what's happening? What's building up here? It's now dissension. Who can they trust? Can they trust anyone? Because part of the curses that we had on us, they're getting on them. Our curse was we weren't able to trust one another. Now, I would say this, especially for what's going on in the United States. What has been the level of infiltration that they've had to deal with? Because I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell you exactly what the scriptures have said. Because we got to go to the book. We got to go to what? It's a standard. There is a standard. This is why I have to. I'm not coming out here. I don't make anything up. I give you the bottom line of this. Oldie but goodie. Jeremiah 51. Thus saith Yahuwah, behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me, a destroying wind. What is going on? A destroying wind is being risen up in the midst of Babylon. Don't these scriptures, don't they just jump out at you? They jump out at me. Shout out to you, Koba. Hey, you. Alt right versus alt left, and now you're starting to see this thing being flamed, inflamed. Thus saith Yahuwah, behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me, a destroying wind. Dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me. Dwell in the midst of them. A destroying wind. And will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her and shall empty her land. For in the day of trouble, they shall be against her round about. You know, for as much as they say we need to look at this external threat, the problem is they never want to look at them. They needed to look at themselves. I'm sorry, I'm not done here. Let me go down here. Okay, let me do this. 51 and 3. Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow. Against him that lifteth himself up in his brigadine. And spare ye not her young men, destroy ye utterly all her host. They are going to fight each other. And a couple of it was right after the election. I was breaking this down. You have political unrest, civil unrest, you have insurgency, that leads to internal conflict, which is, i.e., civil war. And now you're starting to see these things going and taking a front row seat in what is happening. Jeremiah 51:4. Thus the slain shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans, and they that are thrust through in her streets. See, this is all fine and dandy until we literally are seeing this with our own eyes. I don't care how you want to cut it. If you're not following the Most High, then guess what? You're going to be in this fight. You are a Babylonian in this fight. So I think what we actually need to understand, it's the Babylon Civil War. It's a Babylonian civil war of who will take control of this next kingdom while we are waking up, while we are getting ready to see the Most High move, because we are getting ready to see his deliverance. We're getting ready to see the Most High deliver, and now they are fighting because they understand that. I don't care what the fight is, ideology, religion, it's all Babylon's. Financial, it's all Babylon's. Social construct, it's all Babylon. They're fighting in order for them to have their control of what Babylon should be. And this, again, I say, stay out of their fight. Close up the doors. Isaiah 26. We said our piece. What more can we say to them? You all didn't believe that this word was true. You all didn't believe that this word was talking about the Most High's people. You all didn't believe that you had Yehuda, Judah, in your captivity. You all didn't believe that the Most High was going to turn our captivity around. You all did not believe the declarations and the decrees that we were decreeing and declaring, because that was the Most High's word. You didn't want to believe it. But now we have to come at you like Naruto. Believe it. And y'all's ninjas are coming through with them shurikens, not us. I had to get you all that Naruto reference. That we were telling you all. What? You thought that we were just going to be saying this thing for 30, 40, 50 years? No. We've been telling you what Genesis was saying. We were telling you what the Most High was showing Abraham. In Genesis chapter 15, verses 12 through 14. Look, there was a seed, there was a people, there was a remnant. I'm going to tell you this, Gentiles. I love you all enough to tell you all the truth. I'm going to tell you the truth. Because it's not for my sake, it's for the Most High's sake. Because I serve Yahusha HaMashiach. I'm his servant. Do you all deserve it? And let me just be perfectly clear. Do you all deserve it? No. No, you don't. I'm going to be honest with you. You don't deserve it. But I also know that for our people, we don't deserve the grace that he has given us. So I'm not going to judge. I'm just going to do what the Most High has instructed me to do. And I'm going to serve him and choose to serve him. And if I look crazy and if I look this and if I look that and people want to say this and people want to say that, then guess what? I don't care. Because at the end of the day, if they want to say all the craziness, guess what? They're going to end up being involved in this craziness that's getting ready to go down. Because why? Because the pride of their heart will lead them to do some crazy things. I'm going to tell you, this is a time, family, that we need to be in our prayer closets. Each and every day, each and every morning, each afternoon, each evening. Because why? Because this is a time. I'm not going to be here telling you, oh, we got 6 months, we got this. Honestly, listen, I'm going to tell you this. I don't know how much longer we have. I don't. I've never seen friends getting kicked out back to back to back. France is getting the Roddy McDowell treatment from Africa. They're getting the Roddy McDowell. Can't you get it to your thick, greasy skulls? Africa don't want you no more. Dottie, get him. Even nations are like, yeah, we're thinking about it now. They said this year, new year, new me. But we know what's happening. They're getting the land ready. For who? For our return. Because why? Because the Most High said, and none shall make Jacob afraid. Look, our job is not to get involved in any of this. Our job is to say, hey, Gentiles, if you're ready to repent, if you're ready to, this is the time. I don't know how else to tell you. No, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be because they've been living with the delusion. See, if you choose the curse makes you comfortable. The curse makes you comfortable. Because I'm pretty sure that back on the continent where we were at, we were hearing some rumblings. We were hearing some things. You know what? That's not going to ever happen. Don't worry about that. That's on over there. Look, we're just doing our thing. Who's going to really mess with us? Man, we're so far in the interior. Who's really going to do? Don't worry about it. And then guess what? The enemy came up like a flood. Oh, yeah. Now they're being evicted. Yeah, you're right. But we've been saying this. Look, the slain, thus the slain shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans, and they are thrust through in her streets. Come on. This to me, this was the cornerstone scripture that was screaming at me for the last 24 hours. You know, I was listening to Truth Unedited. I didn't get a chance to see the video he did where he was talking to Yasharel, to the Yahudim. But I went through and I finally was able to see all of it. And I tell you, listen, the Most High gives us all prophetic insight. He gives us all the pieces. Not everybody has all the pieces all at once. We don't. But I'm going to tell you this because, there was a thing that he impressed on me as I am going through some things. And it was Deuteronomy chapter 4, verses 29 through 32. And I have to understand, man, we are not forsaken. Let me read this here because when I was reading Deuteronomy, and these, everything integrates, everything correlates. Let me tell you this. Let me Jeremiah 51 and 5. Here we go. For Israel has not been forsaken, nor Judah of his Elohim, Yahuwah of hosts. Though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel, of Yasharel. We have not been forsaken. We have not been forsaken by the Most High. Yeah, we have struggles. Yeah, we need some miracles. But guess what? The miracle's on its way. The deliverance is on its way. The supernatural healing is on its way. The supernatural provision is on its way. And we walk through it and we talk through it and we move through it and we go through it and we grow through it. It's on its way. But what we have to do is be mindful of Him. I know we can be looking at the situation and and concentrate on the situation. No, 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 no. We understand the situation, but we're concentrating on what the Most High is doing. Here's the thing. I'm looking at the situation and I'm praying that our Gentile brothers and sisters that truly love Yahusha HaMashiach, and to love Yahusha HaMashiach, guess what? You have to love his people, his real people. Because that's the reconciliation to the what? The kingdom. See, when they had the Asians come through, okay, you can come into the kingdom as long as you do what? You respect the kingdom. Don't come into this kingdom trying to do what? Usurp the kingdom. But see, what the Asians did, they realized they didn't even have respect for their own kingdom. So now they're getting that treatment because really it showed the level of respect or the lack of it. Excuse me. They're being judged because of the kingdom that had been established under what? Under blood. See, the foundation has been off from the time that this place was founded. And it will return back to what? Its foundation. This foundation was every man for itself. The foundation was, those that carry the big stick. The foundation is, right? Only the strong survive. That was the foundation. And guess what? They're being accountable to the foundation that they created. We didn't create that foundation. Want to know why? Because here's what the scripture says. Jeremiah 51 and 6. Flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity. Why is that? For this is the time of Yahuwah's vengeance. Oh boy. This is the time of Yahuwah's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. He will render unto her justice. Come on now. I'm not making this up. This is what the scriptures are saying. But we would have healed Babylon, but she refused to be healed. They're getting paid back. I'm not paying them back. That's not my job. My job is to serve in the kingdom. My job is to be a representative of the authority of Yahushua HaMashiach. My job is to give a representation of the love that Yahushua HaMashiach has given to us because we weren't any better. We were not any better. And because we weren't any better, guess what? We went through this judgment, and this is what this judgment looked like. No, it only gets worse from here because this is the time of Yahuwah's vengeance. Well, it's just going to get bad and then it's going to, slow down and then it's going to get bad and then it's going to slow down. No, it's not. Tell me biblically where it gets bad and it slows down. Tell me biblically where the children of Judah are going to still be held steadfast in this captivity. Well, I don't believe what the scripture says. Okay, that's fine. You don't have to believe anything. Because it's not going to be my place to force you. We don't force. This isn't Islam. This isn't Christianity. This isn't any of those Babylonian made religions of wood and stone. This is relationship with Yahuwah through the blood of his son, Yahushua HaMashiach. This is about a choice. What do you choose this day? Do you choose life or are you choosing death? That's the choice. And thank the Most High that they have grace. They have grace to be able to still see this stuff and be given a time to make a choice. But again, like all deals and offers in a time of judgment, that offer is limited. You want to know why that offer is limited? Because I'm going to tell you, we're reading that in Jeremiah. Jeremiah was warning the folks, look, when Babylon showed up at the door with the siege, he said, listen, you need to choose this day. The Most High let me know to tell you all that if you go over to the Chaldeans, if you go over to the Babylonians, if you go over to the Sumerians, if you go over to Nebuchadnezzar, if you go over to Nebuchadnezzar, Nezarin, his servant, then things will go well with you if you just give up, if you just repent, if you just humble yourself. Humbling yourself, repenting, humility. It's a cost. It's a cost to be humble. It's a cost to live and move in humility. It's a cost. Because when you realize the cost, there that means something has to be given up. Because why? Here we go. Jeremiah 51 and 7 continue. Babylon hath been a golden cup in Yahuwah's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. What does that mean? What is wine? Wine is what? Is a deceiver. Wine is a deceiver. Wine is a mocker. The wine is the deception and the mockery that the nations have drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. They drunk the same ideologies, the same principles, and now everything that had been spread on out through what, quote unquote, democracy, that drunken spirit, that mocking spirit, that deceiving spirit. No, we have to invade you because now we have to save you from yourselves. Look at what this word says. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her. Take balm for her pain. If so be, she may be healed. Oh my goodness. Do you all see this? The nations have gone mad because why? Because they have been deceived with the same mockery. What's the same mockery? The same pride, the same imagination, the same vanity. It's my turn now. No, it's my turn now. No, I could do it. I could do it. Look, I've done better. Look how look the same haughtiness. This is why the nations are brought down to what the valley of decision, the valley of Jehoshaphat. Here we go. Jeremiah 51 and 9. Because I want you to pay special attention to this. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her? Take balm for her. If so be, she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Do you understand that before we can even say we can help, we can heal, it's already gone? Are you seeing this in verses 8 and 9? Before we could have even taken balm for her pain, before we could have even been able to operate, Babylon's already DOA, dead on arrival. You can't make this up. What ends up happening? We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. What does that mean? Everyone can see that this place is gone. This place is gone. And see, remember when, as you have seen this, everybody's been saying, "Oh, we're good. Everything's good. This economy's looking good. We're gonna be stronger." And when people say that, even they have a very half-hearted, conviction. Yeah, we're gonna look good. The housing market's gonna come back. All this stuff is gonna happen. We're because what has Babylon been good at? Puffing itself up. You got that liquid courage. Look at my dollar. Yeah, you want my dollar. Look at my cash. You want my cash. Look at what you want. Actually, that's good and all, but your dollar ain't gold. Are you kidding? My dollar's better than gold. No, it's not. Which will survive the fire, gold or the dollar? Which will survive the fire, paper, mammon, or gold in the fire? For her judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. You know what that means? That they are not able to escape the bad press and bad publicity that people will begin to see. And when people are able to see, they're going to be able to articulate. And when they're able to articulate, guess what? That drunkenness, This is where we're at in this time. But let me tell you what's happening as this is going on. Let's get into verse 10. Yahuwah. Sorry, give me a second. Stuck on something. Jeremiah 51 and 10. Yahuwah hath brought forth our righteousness. Come and let us declare in Zion the work of Yahuwah, our Elohim. The Most High is gathering us, and we're declaring the Most High's righteousness, his work. As we see this thing go on, guess what? Our people are going to wake up. They have to, because you want to know why? Because the Most High has already said, Yahuwah has brought forth our righteousness. Come and let us declare in Zion the work of Yahuwah, our Elohim. We are awakening as these judgments are going through. Make bright the arrows, gather the shields. Yahuwah hath raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes, for his device is against Babylon to destroy it. Come on now, to destroy it. I didn't say that. Jeremiah 51 says it. Because it is the vengeance of Yahuwah, the vengeance of his temple. Most High is bringing judgment. He's bringing justice. And when vengeance is his, guess what? There is a payment that happens. He's going to break them. We don't need to worry about reparations. They're going to pay anyway. You're not going to tell anybody, the strong man. You're not going to tell the hammer. Please pause reparations. Matter of fact, you're talking to the hammer about reparations. You're not even talking to the one that's wielding the hammer. This is why it says he's going to Babylon. His device is against Babylon. To what? To destroy this system. This isn't just an American system. It's not just a Western system. This is global. Because it is the vengeance of Yahuwah, the vengeance of his temple. Set up the standard upon the walls of Babylon. Make the watch strong. Set up the watchman. Prepare the ambushes, for Yahuwah hath both devised and done that which he spake against the inhabitants of Babylon. O thou that dwellest upon many waters, abundant in treasures, thine end is come, in the measure of thy covetousness. Yahuwah of hosts has sworn by himself, surely, are saying, surely I will fill thee with men, as with caterpillars. And they shall lift up a shout against thee. He hath made the earth by his power. He hath established the world by his wisdom, and hath stretched out the heaven by his understanding. When he uttereth his voice, there is a multitude of waters in the heavens, and he causeth the vapors to ascend from the ends of the earth. He maketh lightning with rain, and bringeth forth wind out of his treasuries. For every man is brutish by his knowledge. Every founder is confounded by the graven image. For his molten image is falsehood, and there is no breath in him. The Most High is literally giving the he's giving the analysis. Let me give you the analysis. Let me give you these critical thinking skills. You have believed a lie. and your understanding and your wisdom is crooked and corrupted. And now, with that crooked and corruption, now I have to make an example of you. Now I have to make an example of you. Because the whole earth is filled with that corruption. There is not just a global reset. I'm telling you, it's a reset. Forefathers, right? They've inherited lies, vanity, things that there was no profit because they were confounded by the graven image for his molten image is falsehood and there is no breath in them. Come on now. How many images do they have up in Vatican? I'm just saying that. I'm just saying. They are the vanity, the work of errors. In the time of their visitation, they shall perish. The portion of Jacob is not like them. What? The portion of Jacob is not like them. The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things, and Israel, Yasharel, is the rod of his inheritance. Yahuwah of hosts is his name. They're getting the visitation by the Most High himself. Thou art my battle axe and weapons of war, for with thee will I break in pieces the nations, and with thee I will destroy kingdoms. With what? With our words. Man, our words have so much power. Y'all realize France is getting destroyed because they're getting kicked out. When they're getting loaded up on planes, leaving out of those African nations, their final stop is going to be France. And with thee will I break in pieces the horse and his rider, and with thee will I break in pieces the chariot and its rider. With thee also will I break in pieces man and women, and with thee will I break in pieces old and young, and with thee will I break in pieces the young man and the maid. I will also break in pieces with thee the shepherd and his flock, and with thee will I break in pieces the husbandman and its yoke of oxen. And with thee will I break in pieces captains and rulers, governmental authority, husbandman, economy, shepherd and his flock, religion. He's literally this is literally showing you the the context of all of these authorities that have been on us. Why? Jeremiah 51:24, and I will render to Babylon and to all the inhabitants of Chaldea all their evil that they have done in Zion in your sight, saith Yahuwah. Behold, I am against thee, O destroying mountain, saith Yahuwah, which destroyest all the earth. The destroying mountain, that kingdom, which destroys all the earth. And I will stretch out my hand upon thee and roll down thy rock, roll thee down from the rocks, and I'll make thee a burnt mountain. You say fire's coming? And they shall not take of thee a stone for a corner, nor a stone for a foundations, but thou shalt be desolate forever, saith Yahuwah. Set ye up a standard in the land, blow the trumpet among all the nations, prepare the nations against her, call together against her the kingdoms of many, of Ararat, Mini, and Ashkenaz. Ooh, boy. Appoint a captain against her, cause the horses to come up as the rough caterpillars, prepare against her the nations with the kings of the Medes, the captains thereof, and all the rulers thereof, and all the land of his dominion. And the land shall tremble in sorrow, for every purpose of Yahuwah shall be performed against Babylon to make the land of Babylon a desolation without an inhabitant. A desolation without an inhabitant. That's a real deep one. That's a real deep one. And I'm going to say, Taya and Jacoba covered that perfectly with the transhuman brain chips, all that other stuff. You're really not an inhabitant anymore because you're something else. The mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight. They have remained in their holds. Their might hath failed. They became as women. They burned her dwelling places. Her bars are broken. One post shall run to meet another, and one messenger to meet another to show the king of Babylon that his city is taken at one end. And the passages are stopped, and the reeds they have burned with fire, and the men of war are affrighted. For thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, the daughter of Babylon is like a threshing floor. It is time to thresh her. Yet a little while, and the time of her harvest shall come. Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, hath devoured me. He hath crushed me. He hath made me an empty vessel. He hath swallowed me up like a dragon. He hath filled his belly with my delicates. He hath cast me out. The violence done to me and to my flesh be upon Babylon. Shall the inhabitant of Zion say, look, sorry, what you did to us is coming back to you all. Did it say that we're going to do this or do that? No. All we're doing is just testifying. My blood be upon the inhabitants of Chaldea. Shall Jerusalem say, this is what you did. You didn't expect that was going to be paid back? We couldn't pay you back, but guess what? That's the Most High. Therefore, thus saith Yahuwah, behold, I will plead thy cause and take vengeance for thee, and I will dry up her sea and make her springs dry. And Babylon shall become heaps, a dwelling place for dragons, an astonishment and hissing without an inhabitant. I look at this in terms of the lollipop, the transhumanism. I won't go into that much. Because what are they trying to say? Look, they debased themselves. Their debasement was a defiling of themselves, and when they defiled themselves, that's what's been interpreted. They shall war together like lions. They shall yell as lions' whelps. In their heat, I will make their feast, and I will make them drunken, that they may rejoice and sleep a perpetual sleep and not awake, saith Yahuwah. They're gonna get roused up, and they're going to fight each other. Can't fight anyone else besides yourself. I will bring them down like the lambs to the slaughter, like rams with he goats. How is Shishak taken, and how is the praise of the whole earth surprised? How has Babylon become an astonishment among the nations? There, the sea is come up upon Babylon. She is covered with the multitude of the waves thereof. The kingdoms, the people. Her cities are a desolation, a dry land and a wilderness, a land wherein no man dwelleth. neither doth any son of man pass thereby. And I will punish Bel in Babylon, and I will bring forth out of his mouth that which he hath swallowed up, and the nation shall not flow together any more unto him. Can we say bricks? The wall of Babylon shall fall. My people, go ye out of her midst, and deliver ye every man his soul from the fierce anger of Yahuwah. Can we say that there's still going to be people lingering? It's gonna get worse before it gets better. It's gonna get worse. Lest your heart faint, and your fear and ye fear, for the rumor shall be heard in the land. A rumor shall both come 1 year, and after that in another year shall come a rumor, and violence in the land, ruler against ruler. Therefore, behold, the days come that I will do judgment upon the graven images of Babylon, but her whole land shall be confounded, and all her slain shall fall in the midst of her. Then the heaven and the earth and all that is therein shall sing for Babylon. Well, remember with the song. For the spoilers shall come unto her from the north, saith Yahuwah, as Babylon hath caused the slain of Israel to fall, so at Babylon shall fall the slain of all the earth. Ye that have escaped the sword, go away, and stand not still. Remember Yahuwah far off, and let Jerusalem come into your mind. We are confounded because we have heard reproach. Shame have covered our faces, for strangers are come into the sanctuary of Yahuwah's house. Wherefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahuwah, that I will do judgment upon her graven image. Through all her land the wounded shall groan. Though Babylon should mount up to heaven, and though she should fortify the height of her strength, yet from me shall spoilers come unto her, saith Yahuwah, as, or excuse me, a sound of a cry cometh from Babylon, and great destruction from the land of the Chaldeans, because Yahuwah has spoiled Babylon and destroyed out of her the great voice, when her waves do war like great waters. A noise of their voice is uttered, because the spoilers is come upon her, even upon Babylon, and her mighty men are taken, and her mighty men are taken captivity. Every one of their bows is broken, for Yahuwah Alua of recompenses shall surely requite. And I will make drunk her princes, and her wise men her captains, and her rulers and her mighty men, and they shall sleep a perpetual sleep and not wake, saith the King, whose name is Yahuwah of hosts. Thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, the broad walls of Babylon shall be utterly broken, and her gates shall be burned with fire, and the people shall labor in vain, and the folk in the fire, and they shall be weary. Because why? It's going to be worse before it gets better. That's what they're going to be saying. And to me, I believe they're going to be saying that for a couple generations. The word which Jeremiah the prophet commanded Sariah the son of Neriah, the son of Messiah, and he went with Zedekiah the king of Judah into Babylon in the 4th year of his reign. That was the Sumerian Babylon. And this Sariah was a quiet prince. So Jeremiah wrote in a book all the evil that should come upon Babylon, even all these words that are written against Babylon. And Jeremiah said to Sariah, when thou comest to Babylon, and thou shalt see and shalt read all these words, then thou shalt say, O Yahuwah, thou hast spoken against this place to cut it off, that none shall remain in it, neither man nor beast, but that it shall be desolate forever. And it shall be, when thou hast made an end to the reading of this book, that thou shalt bind a stone to it and cast into the midst of the Euphrates. And thou shalt say, thus shall Babylon sink, and shall not rise from the evil that I will bring upon her, and they shall be weary. Thus far the words of Jeremiah. Hallelujah. This is what's happening to them. You want to know why that scripture is extra, extra long? Because the Most High had to let them know this is what's happening, this is what's happening, this is what's happening. It was on repeat. A couple of different things. It was on repeat. This is what's going on. This is what's going on. Look, we had it. The children of Israel, the children of Judah, the children of Israel, and the children of Judah. We had that done multiple times for us. And we still ended up in captivity. And the thing is, family, we see this, we can see it happen. Matter of fact, it's not even seen. You can taste it. You can see it, you can taste it, you can smell it. You know what's going you know what's happening. You know it's coming. And this is a question for the Gentiles. Gentiles, are you going to wake up? All we're preparing for is we're preparing to do what the Most High required us to do. And that's to come and gather and give him praise. Because vengeance is Yahuwah. Did you see all that? Vengeance, vengeance, vengeance. It didn't say anything about us, so you don't have to worry about us. That vengeance is on y'all. That's a you all's problem. The only thing that we have to do is make sure that we are fleeing, that we don't get caught up in the nonsense, that we don't get emotionalized in whatever trap they're going to try to emotionalize us with. Because again, this is not our portion. The portion of Jacob is Yahuwah. He's our portion. And he's going to bring us back into the land. You may not like it, you may hate it, you may detest it, but guess what? That's his word. And let me tell you the thing about his word, we are not forsaken because we serve an awesome and mighty Elohim. So, family, if you'd like to support this channel, you could do so through $COVAWK1. There's also PayPal or Zelle at karacy@msn.com. Your support of this channel does go a long way. So I appreciate you all. If you're not able to, if you're not in the position to, I appreciate your prayers. Because let me tell you, the Most High is faithful. In any type of trial, in any type of struggle, and anything that you're going through, the Most High is faithful. And we do serve a loving Elohim through his son, Yahushua HaMashiach. But yes, family, your support does allow me to get these messages on out. And so, with that said, family, I got to get up on out of here. Continue to do the Most High's work, get this kingdom work done. And, family, as we are going through this, I'm praying, and my prayer for each and every one of us is that we are covered and we are safe and we're protected under the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach because he is our strong tower. He is our mighty fortress. we're covered under the shadow of his wing. So, family, go with that in confidence in whatever you're doing, but also be in wisdom and understanding of the surroundings that you're in, and allow the Ruach HaKodesh to give you that knowledge and that understanding. Hallelujah. So, with that said, family, I am up on out of here. Tomorrow is Friday, January 3rd. You should be seeing me on QTUA. For those that haven't subscribed to that channel, please do so. Please do so. And with that said, family, most high willing, I'll see you back here on Tuesday. If there's something, again, if there's something that's calamitous and, that the Most High tells me to come on in and say a word on it, then I'll more than likely I'll be on this channel. So with that said, family, I do have to get up on out of here. And with that, shalom, salama, siemi, shalom, peace and blessings, Yasharel.